Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Hear me out. Here are 5 reasons why Jesse Lee Soffer's J. Halstead still needs to return in Chicago PD. Jesse Lee Soffer's J. Halstead was a mainstay in Chicago PD for 10 seasons, but while he has already left intelligence, there are several reasons why he needs to return. As a detective working with Sergeant Hank Voigt and the intelligence unit, Halstead dealt with rugged cases involving drug dealers, murderers, and kidnappers. Jay's military background and his romances with detectives Aaron Lindsay and Haley Upton were highlights on the show because he's always been a police officer trying to fight through his traumatic experiences with support from his colleagues and loved ones. Halstead also had rough confrontations with Voigt due to the sergeant's tendency to go above the law, especially during earlier seasons of the show. Although Halstead insists on working cases by the book, he also tackles criminals in a personal way to protect his unit the way Voigt generally works. After Soffer decided to leave Chicago PD, he joined another Dick Wolf show, FBI International. Now that FBI International has been cancelled, Soffer should reprise his role as Halstead in Chicago PD to continue Jay's story and rejoin the intelligence unit. One of the biggest reasons why Halstead should return to Chicago PD is to properly say goodbye to his fellow detectives in the intelligence unit, or to rejoin them for good. During Halstead's final appearance in Season 10, Episode 3, the detective was investigating a series of pharmacy robberies with his team. This case became a personal one for Jay because it involved a military veteran who initially appeared to be a victim, but knew more than he was letting on. Halstead would end up killing the primary culprit in self-defense. A major aspect of Halstead's departure involved him walking away from intelligence to serve overseas, and leaving the horrors of his job as a police officer, including killing and covering up evidence. While he had sentimental farewells to Upton and Voigt, Halstead didn't say goodbye to any of his longtime colleagues at intelligence, including Kevin Atwater, Kim Burgess, and Adam Ruzick, along with Dante Torres, who Jay personally recruited. This was disappointing because Halstead is one of the original cast members, and he should have embraced his unit one last time. While Halstead and Upton's final scene together had an emotional impact on the pair and the show as a whole, it felt somewhat sudden and out of the blue because they recently became newlyweds and had an effective repertoire during their partnership in intelligence. However, Halstead's decision to leave his wife for a period of time to rejoin the military was the most logical exit strategy for the character due to Soffer's departure from the show. At the same time, it feels cold and comes across as Jay abandoning Haley for his own personal reasons. Jay and Haley have endured traumatic cases together and have expressed their love for each other throughout their romance. Halstead and Upton also disliked going above the law with Voigt in certain cases, even though they knew it was warranted to protect the team. If Halstead returns to Chicago PD, then Upton should come back as well, despite her exit from the show briefly after Jay, so they will both receive closure or intend to rekindle their relationship. Soffer managed to find another role to tackle in the form of FBI agent Wesley Wes Mitchell in FBI International after the actor's departure from Chicago PD. While Mitchell is a looser law enforcement figure who can be reckless at times when jumping into action, he also has leadership, combat, and strategic tactics reminiscent of Halstead's skills. Portraying a new character gave Soffer the opportunity to branch out of Chicago PD and lead another series. However, due to FBI International's recent cancellation, Soffer's schedule is once again open to reprise his role as Halstead in Chicago PD and rejoin the intelligence unit. Since Halstead has always been one of the more serious detectives in the One Chicago drama, perhaps Soffer could portray a slightly different version of Jay with a toned-down demeanor and include some of the swagger from his FBI role as Mitchell. If Halstead plans to make a grand return to the intelligence unit, he can apply some skills that he learned overseas to certain investigations. In Jay's final appearance in Season 10, he mentioned to Haley his plan to re-enlist in the army and serve in Bolivia to take down drug cartels. Halstead felt the need to do this in order to revitalize his sense of structure and law and order, removing himself from intelligence to get away from his and Voigt's above-the-law approach to police work. For Halstead to work for intelligence again in Chicago, He'd want to reinvigorate his character so that he doesn't revert to the way he and Voight used to work cases by covering up their mistakes when committing murder or withholding information. Considering all the strong work Halstead has done with intelligence, he can return to Chicago PD with a clean slate and a fresh start in order to bring a more structured work ethic reminiscent of his time overseas with the Army. Regardless of how much time Voight needs to take down his current nemesis, Deputy Chief Charlie Reed, this case would be the perfect opportunity for Halstead to return to Chicago PD like Voight. Halstead is a disciplined police officer who intends to wash away the sins he committed in the past to evolve and consistently work the right way. Since Reed represents the old version of Voight, using powerful methods of persuasion and sneaking up on the unit, the sergeant will need all the help he can get. With the intelligence unit and Assistant State Attorney Nina Chapman by Voight's side, Halstead could be another crucial piece of the puzzle who can help dismantle Reed's mysterious plan, perhaps by doing undercover work. If Reed's downfall is successful, this may be a cathartic moment for Halstead and Voight to let go of their old selves in Chicago PD. For years, Chicago PD fans tuned in week after week to see the gritty, action-packed cases unfold in the intelligence unit, and one of the most beloved characters on the show was Jay Halstead, played by Jesse Lee Soffer. His exit in Season 10 left a gaping hole, and while the show continues to evolve, there's no denying that Halstead's absence has been deeply felt. With that in mind, here are 5 compelling reasons why Jay Halstead still needs to return to Chicago PD. 1. Unfinished business with Haley Upton. The Halstead-Upton romance was a central pillar of Chicago PD for multiple seasons. Their dynamic, filled with mutual respect, deep love, and undeniable chemistry, captivated fans. However, Jay's abrupt departure, being written off to go on a military mission in Bolivia, left their relationship in limbo. Haley, Tracy Spiridakos, has been struggling with his absence, questioning their future, and dealing with emotional turmoil. Jay returning, even if only for a limited arc, would allow for closure or, better yet, rekindling their relationship. Fans deserve a proper resolution to their love story, whether that means reconciliation or an honest, in-person farewell. 2. The intelligence unit needs his leadership. As an integral member of Voight's team, Jay Halstead was often the moral compass of the intelligence unit. While Voight, Jason Begg, operates in shades of gray, Halstead consistently provided a balance, challenging questionable decisions while still being a dedicated officer. His absence has left a void in the team's ethical foundation, with Adam Ruzek, Patrick John Pfluger, often in deep undercover roles, Kevin Atwater, Leroyce Hawkins, carrying immense responsibility, and Haley emotionally struggling. Intelligence lacks that firm, steady leadership that Halstead provided. His return would restore that sense of balance and direction the team desperately needs. 3. His military storyline deserves more depth. Jay Halstead's departure to Bolivia felt abrupt and slightly out of character. While it made sense given his military background and his struggles with the weight of policing, fans never got to see his mission play out. Instead, he vanished from the screen, leaving viewers to rely on occasional mentions of his off-screen activities. Bringing him back would allow Chicago PD to explore the emotional and psychological effects of his time overseas. How has it changed him? What trauma or revelations has he endured? His military past has always been an essential part of his character, and diving into that narrative upon his return could provide a powerful, emotionally driven storyline.